Homa Bay senatorial hopeful Silas Jakakimba has pulled out of the race slated for next month. Jakakimba had come to the United Democratic Movement after Moses Kajwang was given a direct nomination by the Orange Democratic Movement. Announcing his withdrawal, Jakakimba cited threats to his life, and we will be joined by Victor Ogale, who is in Homa Bay County following the campaigns in just a short while. But right now, I want us to go to Kajiado Central, where the National Alliance Party officials are currently meeting all aspirants for the Kajiado Central parliamentary seat that was left vacant following the appointment of Joseph Nkaiseri as the Interior Cabinet Secretary. We're now joined by Timothy Wanyonyi, who is currently at the TNA headquarters. Timothy, the last time we spoke, you had mentioned that there had been a closed-door meeting which has since ended. Could you please let us know what has come of it?
Yeah, thank you very much, Edith. We're here at the TNA headquarters in Nairobi, where earlier this morning candidates had come to present their papers to the party officials ahead of the TNA nomination. Remember, the seat is highly contested and it fell vacant after retired Major General Joseph Nkaiseri was appointed Interior Cabinet Secretary in December by President Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, the party, the TNA party, have fielded 7 candidates who all want to vie for the Jubilee, the Jubilee ticket. 5 candidates from TNA and 2 candidates from URP have presented their papers this morning. And the candidates from the TNA side include Elijah Mimuti Kanchori, we have Anthony Kiroken, Joyce Leteipan, Dr. Leina Mpoke, and Koinari Tuitui from TNA. The 2 URP candidates who want to vie for the Jubilee ticket for the Kajiado Central by-election slated for March 16 are Lenan Kanto and Ntabashi Stephen. Right now, there's a crowd behind me. Jubilation as the press conference is over. I can tell you, Edith, they came here in large numbers. You'd actually think it's a campaign rally. It was just a nomination for the papers. And the party has released the date of January 24th as the nomination election date for the Jubilee aspirant who will vie. And the chairman, Johnson Sakaja, has just spoken to the media, and he has promised that indeed the nomination process will be free and fair. And he has said that the party will have a preferred ticket as opposed to a preferred candidate. And he says they have briefed all the aspirants on the conduct for the campaign, and they urge every supporter and the aspirants to conduct their campaigns in a peaceful manner, and they are hopeful that indeed they will clinch the Kajiado Central seat come March 16th.
All right. Now, Timothy, I do know that some observers and political commentators were of the opinion that this seat should be left for an ODM aspirant. I don't know if you've managed to speak to any of the persons there and what they think about this.
Yeah, actually, I was speaking to some of the supporters here and the members of the county assembly that are here. They remain adamant that indeed they are in this till the end. They are going to field a single candidate who they will all rally behind ahead of the election. And Edith, they think they're very, very hopeful, and they believe that indeed the seat will will fall under a Jubilee person. A Jubilee person will be elected come March 13th, Edith.
Well, thank you very much, Timothy Wanyonyi. He is currently at the TNA headquarters, where he's following the proceedings where TNA officials, as we mentioned, met all aspirants for the Kajiado Central parliamentary seat. Well, elsewhere, thousands of maize farmers in Tana River County are frustrated as they have not been able to sell their bountiful harvest for months. The farmers who are under the Bura irrigation scheme had a bumper harvest 5 months ago and are now forced to watch as their maize rot for lack of market. They blame the TNA River County government, saying it promised to buy the maize from them, making the farmers invest even more. But now they say the county has turned their back on them.
Months after their harvest, hundreds of maize sacks in Tana River County still lay unsold. The harvests are from more than 5,000 farmers under the Bura irrigation scheme, farmers who are now a frustrated lot as they watch their investment and efforts go down the drain. They cannot find market for their maize.
Tukaanza kuvuna kutoka mwezi wa 11. Na kutoka siku hiyo mahindi iko hapa nyumbani tu. Tumeweka kwa stores, magunia imeisha, imeraruka, tumebadilisha mpaka tukachoka.
The farmers blame the Tana River County government, who they say promised them that the county would buy the maize at a price of 3,000 shillings per sack. Now, 5 months after a bumper harvest, the maize is rotting and being destroyed by weevils. The farmers are left helpless, most of them having taken loans to fund their farming.
Kila kuchao tunalitoa wafadhili kila aina mbalimbali. Tuliendelea na equity na tukaendelea kuwa na madeni mpaka dakika hii. Tuko na madeni zaidi, hakuna mkulima ambaye kwa bahara deni bura hii.
They are now appealing for help from the national government through the Ministry of Agriculture to assist them sell their maize. They also want their governor, Hussein Dado, to honor the promise they say he made them. With no help, the farmers worry that they would be forced to count their losses. Sharma Mani, KTN.
The Kenya Tea Development Agency, or KTDA, has embarked on a plan to encourage farmers to venture into alternative tea varieties. Kenya's tea sector has been dominated by the black CTC variety that accounts for 99% of all tea produce and sold, leading to a glut in the global tea market. Now, according to KTDA, the introduction of specialized orthodox tea varieties such as purple tea could see farmers be able to fetch premium prices for their produce, lifting the sector's fortunes. Now, the tea agency plans to install orthodox processing lines in 11 tea factories across the country at an expected cost of 660 million shillings. So far, the processing lines have been installed at the Kangata Tea Factory in Kirinyaga County. Last year, earnings of tea farmers dropped to 15.8 billion shillings, which was the lowest in the last 5 years due to global oversupply of the black tea variety.
KTD has already started retaining some little money for the stabilization fund. We expect the government to budget for the same in future, so that we have a fund. If prices are bad, in a bad year, the farmers can be compensated.
Senate Speaker David Ekwe Othuro hopes that the impasse in the new security laws will be addressed soberly. Speaking exclusively to KTN, Othuro says the laws should not be a basis for dividing the nation. Here is part one of that interview with Aaron Ocheng.
To date, what would you say is the single most achievement for you as a Senate Speaker?
I think the single most achievement, if I were to summarize, first is I think Kenyans have seen a house of sobriety, a house that approaches issues on the basis of merits and demerits. And I think, to me, that is one contribution in terms of political discourse to this nation.
At some point, you were a member of URP. I don't know if you're still.
I'm still a member of URP. That is my party.
All right. So, basing on that, and now that you are overseeing a house which has two sides, the opposition and the government side, how would you say is your way of maintaining neutrality and impartial when you are conducting business of the house?
Now, you must make a distinction between you as a partisan member, which the Speaker is not, because partisan members are on the floor of the House. The Speaker has a constitutional duty to remain neutral, to guide the House on the basis of the Constitution, the law, and the standing orders, which are like, if you may wish, our operations manual. And really, if you believe in the fidelity of the law, you should have absolutely no problem navigating that. This is a democracy. As a speaker, you must ensure that every side, every political shade of opinion, every geographical dimensions in a debate are brought to bear and they are heard. That, as I said in my acceptance speech, the majority will have their way, but the minority must also have their say.
Okay. Some quarters have accused you of not being so partial and favoring the government side. I don't know how true that is.
I am not aware of those quarters. They must be emanating from your quarter. I think the last, so far, I have basically been pleased that I've had actually a good record of being an impartial speaker. I think what you are referring to is what happened the last session, the special session where we convened the House because a matter that had already been made law was supposed to be discussed. And the procedures are very clear. That the same matter was being actively interrogated by the High Court. And so under the rules of sub judice, we could not continue with the proceedings. So I don't even understand how you can accuse me of being biased when all we just did is the standing orders are very clear. Standing order number 92. That point was canvassed on the floor, and convincingly so. Evidence was brought to justify that the same declarations being sought are similar to the same resolutions being sought by the House. And you know, this is one House that has fought for a mandate and space to be appreciated by other stakeholders. And definitely the House felt is not also good for us to be the ones now taking that away from other people. That matter is always open to come back when it is not under active consideration by the court.
All right. And on this particular bill, was there any consultation?
There were consultations, yes.
And eventually you agreed that it is a matter entirely to be dealt by the National Assembly?
Well, I don't want to go into the details, but we raised some concerns, and which we said if those concerns were to be considered, then that matter may not affect the counties. But, you know, in terms of security matter, you know, this Senate is also a house for legislation, for debate. So assuming we are not even legislating that particular matter, security affects counties. So I think it's important that the two houses should have had a contribution to the bill.
Yeah, those are the sentiments that probably Senate is just duplicating roles of the National Assembly, and we really don't need a Senate. Do you think the Senate really needs to be enshrined in the Constitution?
Well, of course, presiding this institution, every statement I make to that effect, I think I'm just protecting my own turf. But a bicameral system is not unique to Kenya. There are many out of the Commonwealth, almost 3/4 of the Commonwealth countries have a bicameral system, including the mother parliament of England. That question has been there. The United States of America, the same. Canada, the same. What you need is that even the two houses can be able to be a check on each other.
Well, on the second part of that interview, which is going to be aired this evening, the Senate Speaker will be talking about the perennial tribal conflict in northern Kenya and the challenges facing the Jubilee government. So do make sure you catch that second part of that interview right here on KTN Prime at 9 o'clock. Let's go to Mombasa now, where the export processing zone workers have returned to their stations after a Mombasa Industrial Court judge ordered the reinstatement of all Mombasa EPZ workers who were sacked under unclear circumstances. During the court session at the Mombasa Law Courts, the judge also indicated that no worker who took part in the strike should be victimized by the employer, as being a member of a trade union is a constitutional right.
The workers, through their trade union, Tailors and Textile Workers Union, had moved to court seeking orders that their employer reinstate all the employees who were unjustifiably sacked. The judge ordered that the employees be recalled to work and be granted the freedom to join a union. However, Judge Onesmus Macau ordered that the unresolved issue of remittance to the trade union and that of the employer to sign a recognition of the trade union be handled by the County Labour Office.
Whenever there is such dispute of recognition, the trade unions involved should refer the dispute to the Minister for Labour for conciliation.
Last week, the more than 7,000 workers went on strike, decrying poor pay and harsh working conditions. The Union Secretary General, Joel Chebi, accused the 4 factories of not paying overtime and not allowing employees to join the union, despite the fact that the Constitution grants them the right to. Production of garments and textile products destined for the U.S. market had been adversely affected by the strike, which went on for at least 5 days.
The Industrialization Cabinet Secretary Aidan Mohammed at the time said that the strike gravely affected business in the region. He pointed fingers at the Kenya Tailors and Textile Workers Union, saying it had been inciting workers in the 3 EPZ factories on matters that could have been resolved in the absence of a strike. Betty Kialo, KTN.
And this is courtesy of the Cooperative Bank, which is set to offer 3,400 scholarships to bright but needy students across the country. Now, the bank has announced that it will be providing 655 new scholarships to the incoming Form 1 students. Additionally, the bank will be educating a total of 119 students selected from the top performing beneficiaries of the secondary school scholarships through their entire university education. The bank launched the program back in 2007 and provides full scholarships for secondary and university education. The scholarships are awarded on merit to promising but needy students from all regions of Kenya. And from matters of banks and financial institutions, we now have a look at sports. And after failing to sparkle in a number of her international assignments, the Kenya national women's hockey team is geared to have a good outing during this year's World Hockey League in Uruguay. The team currently trains at City Park, and the players are driven to bring international glory to Kenya. Robinson Akenya reports.
The national women's hockey team has previously failed to leave a lasting mark on the international scene. There has been a distinct contrast in performance between Kenyan clubs and the national team, despite the fact that the clubs are the national team feeders in terms of players. Kenyan clubs have ruled Africa for almost a decade now. The national team, however, hopes to turn their fortunes around during the World Hockey League participation, where they knocked out Ghana to qualify for the Round 2 finals in Uruguay. The Queens now feel they have what it takes to bring international glory to Kenya.
I believe that we have a team that is capable, and wait and see what's going to happen. We are not going there just to participate, but we are going to prove to Kenya that we really deserve a place in the World Cup.
Well, we started a long time ago. We had the tournament in November, so the team is ready. So we are putting in place the final details.
Kenya failed to qualify for the World Cup, and despite criticism on the hockey standards in the country, Coach Joseph Penda says his charges are ready to shine.
When you look at it, we've just been playing against African teams. We've not played outside Europe. So I cannot say that we are not up to the game. This is the first time we are going there, and we are going to see how we can prove that actually all the doubting Thomas is wrong, that we are capable to play against them.
Kenya has been placed in the same pool with European World Hockey League Round 1 champions France, Caribbean winners Trinidad and Tobago, and Azerbaijan. Kenya, which is ranked 44th by the International Hockey Federation, qualified for the World Hockey League 2 tournament after winning the Round 1 tournament that was held in Nairobi against African opponents Ghana and Tanzania. As the national women's hockey team intensify their training, one thing tops the agenda: bringing home the World's League 2 crown. Robinson Okenye, KTN Sports.
Thank you, Robinson Okenya. And that report brings us to a close on this edition of KTN's News Desk. My name is Edith Kimani. And before I go, did you know that, here's a fun fact for you, Google knows everything about you. No, really, they do know everything. This includes your phone number and call logs, emails, location, personal information, websites you visit, YouTube videos you watch, what device you're using, and anything you type into their search engine, along with the time, date, and your IP address. The best part about all this is that all this information is recorded and stored in their database. How is that for privacy? My name is Edith Kimani. Good afternoon.